So hello everyone, we're here back again with another guest. So glad to say that she is from NMU, Nanjing Medical University, because she is my senior. I am from the same university. She's a 2013 batch student. So let's have a little more introduction of her by herself.
Thank you, Laveena. So hi guys, I am Riddhi, and yes, I'm from Nanjing Medical University. I graduated in 2019 and I finished my internship also from Nanjing itself in Banki Hospital. And so I decided to take the PLABs, and I got my GMC registration via the PLAB pathway just a couple of months back. And the entire journey, I would say, took me almost more than a little over 1 year, I would say. Yeah, that's about me. And I'm currently looking for jobs in the UK, and hopefully I'll start working soon in the NHS.
Absolutely. So being an NMU student first, I will love to ask, how did your journey start from NMU? Like, how was your first year, your second year? Let's start a little bit with that.
Anyway, it was good. I mean, the college is really nice, and I've knowing it. It's a very friendly place, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. And I don't think ever I thought about PLAB during my MBBS. So I was like, it was very late after I graduated and I got back home that I started thinking about PLAB and I started working all these things out, you know. But yeah, my MBBS course, it was fun, it was good. Internship was really nice, and we had a lot of, we got a lot of opportunities, in fact, to interact with people, have good relations and everything. So it was fun. Overall, it was a really nice experience.
So, as we all know, being a Chinese medical student, you have to learn Chinese. So how was Chinese for you at that time? Since HSK and everything was also there, right?
Yeah, it was there, and it was nice. You know, we really. I mean, I personally had a lot of fun. So my teacher was Jiang An, and it was his classes. Yeah, it was. I don't know. Everyone was petrified with him, but I really enjoyed it, and it was fun to learn the new language. And then because even if you don't get to learn it, you don't learn it properly. It creates a problem because you have to. You need to know Chinese when you interact in your daily life. Go out and everything. So you just get the knack of it, I believe. And yeah, it was all good.
Okay, so I would like
HSK was a lot of trouble. Sorry, I'm interrupting. HSK was like a lot of pressure, and then we had all that thing, because if you don't share HSK, you cannot get your degree, you cannot start your internship and everything. That is, yeah, HSK was a little bit difficult, but otherwise, learning Chinese I think was really fun.
Very nice. So, living in China, how was that? Since a lot of juniors from our own university are hearing you right now, so because they've not yet been to NMU since all of this, because of the pandemic and everything. So do give us a little gist of how was living in NMU in China, in Nanjing like?
I think it's a really nice city. The best part is it's close to Shanghai. You get to visit Shanghai during the weekends. It's like an hour or two 2-hour train. So you get to go to Shanghai. I went to Shanghai like 7 or 8 times, and it was fun. Shanghai is a lovely city. So is Nanjing. You go to the city area. So basically, the juniors who are gonna come in now, they'll be staying in the I don't believe I forgot the name. The old camp. Oh my god!
Jiangsu province.
Oh my god! Yeah. So they'll be staying in the old near the Yiwu campus, and that is like a bit off. But when you go to the city, you start exploring. You go to Shinshepo. It's a lovely place. You can plan your weekend trips and everything. Go have fun, guys. I mean, MBBS is not always. You don't have to make it always about studying.
That's true. So as you went ahead in your years in NMU, obviously more clinical subjects started coming up. So how were your practicals and the clinical subjects? How did you deal with them? Since for us right now, there are no practicals. We're sitting at home and doing these clinical subjects.
So we were taken to the hospitals, and yeah, we had they were good teachers. They taught us stuff, And I remember we were taken to the hospitals, and they taught us there, and we got to learn because we got to experience it ourselves. And then we had these lab classes, which really helped us. So overall, it was nice. But since you're not having it now, so maybe you can try to resort to some YouTube videos if that helps at all. Because you don't have any other option, right? So probably if that helps. But see, I mean, once you start working, eventually it's gonna be fine. You're gonna get it, and then hopefully everything will be figured out. So that should be all right.
Yes. So by the time you were graduating from NMU, I would really like to know if there was a graduation exam that you had to give, because I've heard a lot like before graduating, you have to give an exam, you have to do this, you have to do that. So how is it
Yes.
like graduating from NMU, that period?
Okay, so we have, for us, it was like after our internship, we had to take these 4 exams, which was completely MCQ based. And it was PEDS, OBGYN, surgery, and medicine. And I don't know, I think it was a 100-mark paper. It was all MCQs. It was a little difficult, honestly, but few of the questions here and there were from the past papers, like like we study always. But that was like comparatively, if you'd say, yeah, it was a little difficult. We had to prepare a little more. There was a hard preparation for it, a longer preparation for it, and then also we had an OSCE examination as well. So at that time, we didn't realize that actually OSCE examination will help us eventually in the later years, because also for PLAB2, it is an OSCE-based examination. So because we had done an OSCE examination in NMU itself, so I kind of, knew what an OSCE examination is, unlike the Indian medical graduates who do not have any idea what an OSCE is. And they don't even know like the basic things about an OSCE examination because they're not taught here in India. So that way it's good, it kind of prepares you, and yeah, I mean, you learn a lot, during this part. So it's good in a way.
So coming on after NMU from graduating, how was your PG in India like? I mean, not really PG, but the PG examination that I'm talking about, the entrance examination. Did you give FMG, or how did you go about all of that?
Okay. So once I got back to India, and I took the FMG after my PLAB1, and it was like a week after my PLAB1. I wasn't prepared. I wasn't studying. I thought with my PLAB1 knowledge, I'll just go and take the FMG and everything. But I obviously didn't get through. I fell short of 10, I believe 7, 8 marks. So the whole plan was basically, once I came back, I started exploring my options. My 2 main options were USMLE and PLAB. I never wanted to work in India, so taking FMG was never in my list. I mean, I was just taking because of my mom's pressure. She was like, you need to get the license here, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, okay, just for the sake of it, I took the exam. But I'm glad it didn't work out. And I started focusing on my PLAB pathway. I took my IELTS in Jan 2020, which is like 4 months after I came back home. And yeah, and soon after that, I stepped into the PLAB pathway.
Okay,
I
so
haven't
why
taken
did
my NEET PG. Yeah. Sorry, you were saying something.
So I was asking, why didn't you choose USMLE and why did you choose PLAB?
Okay, so there are a couple of reasons why I didn't choose USMLE. First of all, I've heard from a lot of people that USMLE is much more difficult than PLAB. That was one of the topmost reasons. And also, I spoke to my brother. He has his friends who are working as doctors in the UK and in the US both. I surprisingly, he could manage, and I had a talk with both of them. And after listening to them, so USMLE takes much longer than PLAB. I mean, now PLAB is also getting delayed, but even after, despite of all that, USMLE takes longer time. So I was like, no, I cannot, give that much of time. And I went with PLAB. PLAB was easier, less expensive, and I felt like it was more feasible for me. And also, I always wanted to live in UK, so it made much more sense to me back then.
That is nice. So let's talk a little about PLAB, since you've chosen that exam. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you know a lot about it. So about PLAB, give us a brief, like what is PLAB, how many steps are there, and how to go about starting the preparation for it.
Okay, so PLAB is basically like a licensing exam to work in the UK as a doctor. So it has 2 parts, PLAB1 and PLAB2. And after that, you get a GMC registration, which is like similar to the MCI registration in India. So you have the GMC registration in the UK. So the only way you can work in the UK is via getting if you have the GMC registration, right? So you can get your GMC registration via a few pathways. PLAB is one of those. From what I know, PLAB is the easiest and the fastest pathway, and also the most less expensive one. And it takes much less time if you compare it to MRCP, MRCS, and so on. So talking about PLAB now, so you need to clear English exam first. That is your IELTS or your OET. You need to get those desirable scores. Only then you can go ahead with your PLABs. And PLAB1 is completely theory-based. It has 180 questions in 180 minutes. So time management is very crucial for PLAB1. And it is mostly clinical-based scenarios. So you have like surgery, medicine, obs-and-gynae, you have peds, then you have emergency medicine, and then you also have ethics, a lot of ethics in PLAB1. those are like, these are the few important things to keep in mind. And then PLAB2 is, like I said, OSCE-based examination. So it's completely practical. You have history-based conversations, then you have telephonic conversations, then you have breaking bad news and few examinations and everything. But yeah, the exams are doable. Now the problem that is happening is the seats are not readily available. So you have to be a lot more patient, and it can probably take a couple of years, to get a GMC registration and then end up having a job in the UK.
Right. Okay, so now talking about PLAB, you definitely have to tell us the resources, because many people buy resources for USMLE and then also use that for PLAB. So can the resources be common for both?
Never do that. So basically the for PLAB1 specifically, you need to focus on a PLAB1 specific question bank. So you can go with, there are many question banks, you can go with any question bank that you wish to, but I would suggest PLABable. PLABable is like gold, it's the best out there. I stuck to PLABable, I passed. All of my friends, they stuck to PLABable. And the best thing about PLABable is that they keep updating. So as soon as the exam comes, they keep updating the questions and everything. There are a lot of past year questions, and mostly in PLAB, you would say 20 to 30% of the questions are from the past years. That is why PLABable is nice. If you study everything from PLABable in and out, there are high chances you'll pass. And there's also something called PLAB keys. So PLABable is more like question bank, right? And PLAB keys is like more like notes form. So if you're not in the habit of making your own notes, you can probably look into PLAB1 keys or PLABverse. PLABverse is a little more organized. I refer to PLAB1 keys in the very end, like maybe for the last 45 days, last 1 month of my exam. So yeah, both are nice. You can resort to that. You don't have to make your own notes. Then they're basically note formats, and you can just have a read. They're like for all the chapters, all the 31 subjects that are there in PLABable. So you have like for NAT, you have for obs and gynae, you have for peds, you have for ethics, so on. So these are literally it. If you PLABable and PLAB1 keys, or only if you stick to PLABable, it's more than enough for PLAB1. And talking about PLAB2, so PLAB2 is more like, it's an OSCE examination. There aren't many resources. It's like always a dilemma, confusion. People join an academy. I also joined an academy, but after joining in the academy, I felt like it's a waste of money because academies are quite expensive. It's like 500 to 600 pounds for a 12-day class. So it's really not required. But if you can pick up any academy notes. You can pick up a practice partner. You can give the notes a read, and you can start practicing, because it's all about practice in PLAB2. You really need to practice a lot. And that's about it.
So during your clinical subjects in NMU that you were studying, did you start practicing for questions at that time? I mean, like you were studying your clinical subjects. Did you do any questions or any clinical aspect? Anything like that?
Nothing. But I just talked to the PPDs that you got. Few things here and there. Maybe like I had Bailey's and Love, so I would give it a read only if I felt like. Maybe a few videos from osmosis, but barely anything. I was just focusing on passing my MBBS and just getting done with that place. That's it.
Does it get tiring over there? I mean, you've been there for like 6 years and you've been seeing the same faces and you have to go through like so many subjects and passing marks and this and that. Does it get hectic at all?
No, not at all. I mean, I loved that place. I love my university. I'm still waiting, like I'm counting, maybe 18 years. Like I really want to go back to China again, go to Beijing, go to Shanghai, go to my campus again. It's a lovely place. I mean, you have fun because student life is like one of the best lives ever. So yeah, I do miss it sometimes.
Absolutely. We are missing it right now. I mean,
I've been there
2 years, 1.5 years. And
yeah,
anyway,
crazy. Yeah, let's not get into it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, as you spoke about IELTS and OCT or OET examinations, right? So,
yeah, OET.
For that, how do you prepare for that?
Okay, so IELTS and OET is basically like very basic English examinations. OET is a little health oriented, so it is, if they say OET is easier than IELTS. I took my IELTS and barely I prepared for like 2 weeks, I would say, not even 2 weeks. I just resorted to some YouTube videos. I've made a post all about IELTS preparation in my Insta account. You can have a look, and all of those watching this video, you can have a look. And about OET, I don't have much idea, honestly, but yeah, it's easy. But the only problem is the only con with OETs is a little expensive. That is, it's around, I believe 300 pounds. It comes up to 35K INR. And IELTS, wherein IELTS is like just 10, 11K INR. So that's about it.
Right. So about PLAB, I wanted to know this, that what is the fee structure for PLAB, like PLAB1, PLAB2, or what is the total cost or approximate cost that would, take for PLAB?
PLAB1 is 25K INR. PLAB2 is 90K, 85, 86 something. And then you give 25K for your GMC registration. And again, these are the exam and these are the basic fees that goes indefinitely. And then again, the expenses depends on which country people are coming from. Like if you're going from India, then you have to pay for PLAB examination because it's only in Manchester. So you have to pay for your tickets, you have to pay for expenses there in UK, your living, your accommodation, and so on. And also depends a lot on your lifestyle, right? So maybe like if I'm spending £1,000 in a month, you might be spending £2,000 because your lifestyle might be very different from my lifestyle. So it really depends. But basic living in the UK, the expense and everything, I've also made a post. And you can find an accommodation in what, £500. That's the basic rate there. You can book a room for yourself with your own bathroom. If you're lucky, you can get your own bathroom. Otherwise, you get a sharing bathroom. And 500, 400 would be the minimum cheapest one. I haven't seen anything lower than 400 yet. It can be as expensive as 800, 900 pounds if you want like a really nice, decent house, decent room. And then spending is like you go out and if you eat out a lot, obviously spend like the double amount of money. But if you resort to cooking and everything, you can just sum it up everything in £300 in a month. So my basic expenditure was like in between 1,000 to £1,200 in a month. But again, it depends. Like when I was in London, I spent a lot because we used to go out a lot. We chilled a lot. I was done with my exams. We were drinking and so on, blah, 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 blah. So we ended up spending a lot of money. But yeah, it depends. That's what it is.
So,
Yeah.
so any changes in PLAB that have recently come up or that you should make us aware of? Because I know you keep posting a lot of posts regarding PLAB1, PLAB2 and the whole process. But could you tell us any changes that are happening for PLAB?
Currently, there are no changes as such. The only problem now is happening is the seats are getting up booked quite soon. So you need to be a lot more patient than what we were. I remember like my PLAB1 was in November 2020. I couldn't get a date for PLAB2 at all. So my PLAB2 was in September 2021, almost a year. But now it can even take longer. So you have to be patient. And also we've been hearing that UK MLA will be coming in place from 2024. So that is another issue because mostly the pattern will be the same. It will be similar to PLAB, but we've heard that the UKMLA, the UK medical graduates will also be taking the exam. So it's like if we are taking the IMGs are taking the exam and then the UK med grads also taking the exam. So probably there'll be a lot of competition and everything. But yeah, that is there. If you are 100% sure you want to go to UK, you want to work as a doctor in the UK, then it doesn't really matter, right? If it's there's UKMLA, there's PLAB or whatever, there are any changes, you have to be patient because when we started out, I remember there were like seniors from our university, there were like so many people I knew, they finished the entire journey in 6 months, a year max. But when I entered, I was like, it's taking much longer, it's taking a lot of time. So that is what it is, before you get into something, be sure that, you're going to give in your 100% no matter what. And then it should be fine.
Yeah, everything takes time. It's just the perseverance that
Definitely.
comes in place.
Yeah, I mean, you just have that in the back of your mind, hopefully it's gonna be worth it, it's gonna be worth it. I mean, that's what I keep telling myself. Hopefully it's gonna be worth it someday. Someday it's gonna make sense.
Right. So any study tips that you would give us juniors especially?
Oh my God, like every day I see texts in my benevolent account that, I'm in my first year, I'm in my second year, or, what should I do, blah, blah, blah. But guys, though, you need to chill a little, I mean, first year, second year, third year, absolutely nothing. Focus on your MBBS years and pass your MBBS subjects because that is of utmost importance, right? You can think about PLAB maybe in your final year, I would say. So once you get in your final year, you can start exploring, you can start looking into resources, you can start looking about the English examination, you can start collecting your information and blah, blah, so sorry. And then you can go on from like there, and if you're actually like so sure that yes, you want to do something, you cannot like, sit idle and everything. So there are so many options. You can like work in your CV, you can do CPD courses, you can get yourself involved in research if at all it makes sense. And what else? You can teach. Teaching is really nice. People in UK, they encourage teaching a lot, and it's given a lot of importance as well. So you can get involved in teaching your juniors the basic medical subjects. Like if you're in your fourth year, you can teach your second year and your first year juniors. So if you're comfortable with that, these are the few things you can do. But otherwise, I wouldn't say that, you cannot just like from second year or from your first year, you cannot be like, I will start studying. People are texting me, they're like, I'm buying PLABable, I'm in my second year. But no, why are you wasting your money? You don't need it now. Because you never know in the next 3 years how it's going to be. I mean, the pattern can change, the questions can change, the format can change. So it doesn't make sense at all.
Right, absolutely. So comparing PLAB to USMLE, in USMLE now the competition everywhere is it's so competitive that everyone's
Right.
running behind making their applications really strong. Like even for USMLE. So is there anything like that in PLAB to make your application really strong?
So, like in USMLE, from what I've heard, you need to have done a research, so done like an observership or an attachment, like you call it in the UK. But when in terms of PLAB, in terms of working in the NHS, nothing is mandatory. If you have it, good. If you don't have it, like, it's fine. I mean, it's not mandatory. So if you do saying that, I would say if you do get a chance in getting involved in a research, do that. You get a chance getting involved in an audit, do it. You get a chance to work in India or to work in whatever country you are in, work. I mean, don't just sit idle if you like, if there's no option at all. Like for me, I don't have my FMG, I don't have my MCI, so I cannot work in India. So I'm not working in India. Rather, I'm doing some CPD courses, I'm getting involved in other activities and so on. So if you do get an opportunity, yes, definitely do it. But if you don't have any research, if you don't have any audit, you don't have to worry about it. So because in the UK and the NHS, when we start working, personally for me, like I'm gonna start working at a non-training post, and it's always recommended to start working in a non-training post because it's better. So for non-training post, from what I've heard from people who are working now, you don't really need such things. It's not mandatory. So it counts in your CV when you apply for a training post. So when you go there and you do a non-training for like a year or so, you can always build your portfolio in the UK itself. So these things you don't have to worry really, but yeah, if you can, definitely get involved.
Right. So I want to know, how were your parents' reactions when you said you wanted to go outside of India? And
They
because
were
a lot
really
of
pretty
money.
supportive. Yeah. They were pretty supportive. My dad was like, he's been supportive all throughout. My mom was like a little, she's like, do you have MG, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, even now, today she's like, every day she's like, take your FMG. I remember I was in UK and I think it was September. I just got my results. No, October, I got my results and she's like, okay, अब तो बेटा दिसंबर में MCI या वापस आ जाओ, MCI दे दो. I'm like, मम्मा यार, अब क्या आपको बंद कर दो बोलना. So things here and there keeps happening. But yeah, they've been very supportive. And because my dad has been so supportive, it's probably that I've reached so far and I've come this far. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible without his support, honestly.
So in your journey, any time in your journey, have you felt कि अरे इतने पैसे लग रहे हैं, and that pressure कि parents are spending
Yeah.
so much on
Every single day. I mean, especially when I got to UK and I was spending, everything was like into 100. So it got pretty bad, and I was like, oh my god, I'm spending so much money because I'm not even earning. Everything is like my dad's money. It's not my money. So it does get a little expensive, but that's what it is. You have to cut down on a few things here and there. So then I'm so sorry.
Okay,
So yeah, you need to
that's where
manage
the
it.
Jugaadu Indian comes out.
Yeah. So you resolve. I first month I remember I was only cooking. I was not stepping outside. I was studying for my exam and spending very less money. I'm so sorry. I'm just feeling a bit under the weather.
It's absolutely fine. Right. So how do you feel about your journey till now overall?
It's been nice. I've learned a lot. I have met a lot of people, and everyone's really nice in the PLAB community. They genuinely reach out to you. I've made some few nice friends as well when I was in the UK. And like I said, sometimes it gets a little demotivating. Like after my PLAB1, I remember even my PLAB1 got cancelled once because of the pandemic. So it did get a little overwhelming. And it definitely gets a little overwhelming at times. But like I said, you have to have a little bit of faith and keep going and stay positive. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I also wanted to ask about recommendations. In fact, are recommendations like really needed for PLAB for the application?
Recommendation as an LORs.
Yeah, exactly.
No. You don't need it. You need something called the referees when you're applying for jobs. That is, referees is kind of recommendation only. So you need it when you apply for jobs. So if for example, if you're working in a hospital in India, you can give your seniors, your doctors, like the head doctors, HODs, contact as a referee. So that is how it's done. Like I'm not working, I don't know anyone. So I have like I've done a clinical attachment in the UK, so I've used that as my referee. Then from the university, I've used one of my when I was doing my internship, one of the professors, one of the doctors in the Benju hospital. I'm so sorry. So I've used them as the referee. But mostly people, when they're working in India, they need the HOD and everything, so they use them as the referee, But otherwise, you don't need like genuine, legit LORs and everything is not really needed. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's absolutely fine. So, how was internship in NMU? I would really like to know that, since you have to pass a certain mark in HSK and get through that to get an internship in China itself, right? So, how was your internship experience in China?
Internship was nice. I mean, initially it was a little difficult because because of the Chinese and everything. I'm so sorry. But yeah, Benki was a really nice hospital and we were very well managed by our teachers and everything. Almost everyone knew how to talk in English. I got to assist in a lot of surgeries, in general surgery, in obs and gynae. So it was a nice experience overall. And they prepared us very well for the OST, which is very nice. So yeah, overall it was a nice experience. We met a lot of people. Even few teachers, they allowed us to take histories on a day-to-day basis in Chinese with Chinese patients and everything. So it all went very good. I personally got to learn a lot. It's all on you, because I knew so many people, they never got up in the morning and they don't go to the hospital and everything. But if you're like, okay, I want to learn something and you go to the hospital every day, then you eventually end up learning a lot of things.
Right. So, as of now, the situation that it demands, like us, we cannot go to the hospitals. We're not having the clinical exposure. So it's like I'm my fourth year, and I'm sure in NMU fourth year they take you to the hospitals, they show you around, all of that. So right now we're not experiencing that. Okay.
Yeah. I'm
so,
just like yeah.
So is it good for us that we give FMG and then work in India or work wherever we are for our internships? Like, अगर मैंने FMG दिया और मैं इंडिया में internship कर रही हूँ, and then I probably get my degree, go back to China, and all of that, because that's how the situation is right now for us, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, because see, honestly, you don't see China calling you back anytime soon, right? From what I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but from what I know, and China is not going to call you guys back soon. So online internship, I don't know if it will be accepted or not by the GMC. It's like a big dilemma. So because you have time and you're just going through online classes and anything, you can meanwhile start preparing for FMG, take FMG, get done with the internship in India, and then you can directly. And the best part about PLAB is you can take both the PLAB parts during your internship. So even when you are preparing, like you are doing your internship in India for the FMG, you might as well just start, taking your PLABs. And then you can get done with your graduation. They give you a degree and then you can get your GMC registration and start working in the UK. Also, another thing is if you don't have an internship, you can still go to the UK and you can start working as an FI1, but it's a little more difficult. So that is why it's always best if you do your internship and you get your full registration and then you start working at FI2. So yes, definitely like if you have start, because FMG is not a very difficult exam. You just have these two books. You go through those books, you get done with it, and you just I believe serious study of what 3 or 4 months would be enough for that preparation. I'm sure there are many people from our university who've nailed the exam and they'll be able to guide you on this better than me, of course. So yeah, definitely go ahead with it and get done with the FMG because it's like a big headache gone, you know.
Yeah, that's true. FMG is like India में people keep asking
Seriously. Yeah, because even now my mom is like, you should have your FMG, blah blah blah. So it's like it's always gonna be there, you know. You're not registered in India. You're always gonna have it at the back of your mind. So might as well you have time to get done with it, you know.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so now moving out from the topic of studies and PLAB and FMG and all of that, do you remember any experience that of NMU that you would want to share, or would want to get those nostalgic memories back?
I wouldn't want to get into it, but yeah, there's been so much of fun. I mean, we've had so much of fun. We've explored so many cities nearby, and just like roaming around the city, roaming around the campus, talking to the Lauban and the teaching building, the chocolate and cafe that we used to get. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was gala time, I would say.
Right, absolutely. So did you also, come out of the dorms and go and hang out with your friends outside the university and all of that?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, why would we not? Going to EGR and all of that. We've done everything.
Okay, so
yeah.
wrapping up this session, I would want to ask you to, tell a little about your studygram and also how social media has been helping you and keeping you motivated in your journey.
Right. So I started this page after I cleared my PLAB1. It's nearly been a year now. And I grew a lot as a person through my studygram. I met a lot of people who are on the same page as I am. And I've met so many nice people who are studying in Ukraine, who are studying in Russia, who study from Nepal, and also studied from India and so on. And I've met people who are working in the UK now. So it really helps you to connect. You meet people, you explore, you start talking, and then you realize, okay, I'm not the only one in this shithole. So it helps a lot. I mean, and then, you see people that they're struggling so much, they're giving in so much for their journey. And then that's how you get motivated, So, and then sometimes you see, I never knew that, you can actually connect with someone on Instagram or through the studygram. But yeah, that did happen. And I've generally met very, very nice people, wonderful people there. And I've made friends there. And it's been really nice now.
Exactly.
And I love posting, I love creating content. Yeah. So it's like fun, it's like a nice hobby, like something nice to have by the side.
Exactly. I think this was one thing that also connected me to you because that's how, we spoke.
Right. Exactly. Because I believe I saw your page in the NMU and I'm like, okay, I'm also from Nanjing Medical University. And that's how we got to know each other. So if not through that account, through Instagram, we would have never met, never had this meet either.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your valuable time, for the tips, for this whole talk.
I'm so sorry about the delays. We've been trying to do this meet for a long, long time, but I'm glad it happened. It worked out. And all the best to you. Stay in touch. And yeah, you can reach out to me anytime.
Thank you so much. And for you all, please stay tuned for the next session. Just like this, it'll be valuable. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye. Take care.
You too.
Whatever.